You.
Oh, fantastic. Awesome. That's awesome. And it's amazing day, another amazing day. And we are here on the Pirate Broadcast. And I want to bring to you interesting people doing interesting things and share a few interesting aspects of life and, some of the things that are taking place. And today I have Samantha Glover. And Samantha is not only a growth hacker, marketing strategist, but she's also a mathematician. And I want to dig in and find out a little bit more about that combination because, big data and analytics and all things play a big, huge role. So thank you so much and all the gratitude in the world for being here, Samantha. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Russ, for having me here. I'm very grateful to be here.
Well, one of the things that I like to do is there's a lot of people out there doing some amazing work, and you're the box of ambrosia piqued my interest in something about your brand and your message and some of the things that you were doing online. It's like I want to know a little bit more about this individual, and I want to share this individual with other people because I think you have something special, and I wanted to talk to you about that today. And how did how did you arrive at being a market in the marketing world as a mathematician? That's a connection that you don't see all of the time. And so I've had some experience, with both sides of the world, and I don't see it very often. So I thought, well, I'm going to ask you. Tell us how you arrived here today.
Well, that's an amazing question. Well, believe it or not, in today's society, mathematicians, they're actually data scientists. And with data science, you can apply it to marketing, solving world problems. And when you're marketing online, it's very algorithmic. It works on an algorithm.
Mhm.
So it requires a lot of calculations, being able to build prediction models, algorithms, being able to calculate what potentially may happen so you can make strategic decisions. So, and I think just to make it compact, I first started getting interested in marketing is, for a brief time when I was underage. I was actually homeless temporarily,
Uh-huh.
and I played music in the streets because I also played music. And people would just give me donations and money. So it's like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then I got like a little email list, and people started to sign up. And when I put together a show, people actually started to come. So that was my first introduction to a form
Marketing.
of marketing when I was underage.
That is, you know, we share a few threads, and now I know why I was drawn to you. Is I grew up as a musician. I started playing clubs when I was 16, as a drummer, and I played for years until I fell 3 stories and shattered my arm. And one of the things that allows and that got me into advertising. So it's like I think that was a transition in advertising. Another story for another day. However, I'm fascinated by that you discovered the marketing piece as a musician because musicians right now, the world is changing around that whole industry. And going through the challenge of being homeless and being out there and having to put yourself out there is really raw and real. And you know I've been there. I know what it's like. I understand and appreciate it. uh, and also there's some lessons that come out of that. There's some really big lessons that come out of that. And one of the things that you can do is it's like, okay, you make it through there, you make it through this process, you learn a few things, and then you kind of graduate to the next thing. So what was the next thing after discovering marketing, music, and how did you evolve into math?
Well, I've always been interested in math. I won my first competition when I was just in elementary school. I even won an award from the government for high achievement in mathematics while still in school. So math has always been a huge part of my life. I've
Mm.
competed in competitions where you would have to compete with other kids from both public and private schools. to be able to calculate equations, and whoever would get the answer would win. So I actually, well, my first competition was when I was in elementary school, and I competed with people that were in middle school and actually got second place, which I know wasn't first place. But then when I started to compete as I got older, then I started to go on a winning streak where I would win back to back to back. But my anxiety was something that like made me overwhelmed, where that was kind of my crutch, where I would just feel a lack of confidence in myself at certain times. So I think that's what it was, because I have the ability, but it's just at times I lacked confidence. But yeah, so I've always done that. And as far as playing music in the streets, I was just like, gonna have to take it off of the streets and maybe into a venue. So that's why I got the email list. And so that just gave me an interest and an introduction into marketing, the power of being able to connect with people and to growth hack into a different level of doing things. Because I spoke to this one guy, he was a veteran, and I was like, well, how long you been playing in the subways? Because he actually taught me how to play music in the subway. He was like, I've been doing this for like 13, 15 years. And I was in my mind like, I was like, oh no, I ain't I'm not doing this for no. But that's what I was thinking. So I was like, so it has to be a way to transition out of it.
Yeah. So what instrument did you play?
Well, I play a few different instruments. My first instrument was violin. So I've had the same teacher since I was in elementary school. Then flute, piano, then acoustic and electric guitars. Now, acoustic and electric guitars, I kind of transitioned into that because, music is a universal language. It's just a matter of being able to place what you're doing to a different instrument.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also a lot of math goes into music, a lot of the eighth notes, quarter notes, 16th notes, the scales and everything else that goes along with it. There's a lot of similarities between the two in a lot of respects. At least that's why I think of as a drummer, you get triplets and you get, the you get the patterns and things like that. And what's really fascinating though is that you were able to go through this process, Samantha, and then now there's a lot of mystery around the growth hacking topic and the title, and it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So how do you see that applying today now for yourself? And are you promoting your music with that, or are you promoting marketing for other people, or what is it that you're passionate about working on right now today?
Well, besides math, which was always a love of mine, I'm an all-around artist, from doing visual arts for TV shows. I've composed music for shows. The marketing aspect came in because you can be the most talented person in the world, but if you don't have the ability to market, then nobody will ever know. You'll just be a starving artist. But in regards to growth hacking, it happens a lot. I have a huge respect for those who do different parts of marketing online, social media marketing, which is not necessarily the same. It's part of digital marketing,
Yeah.
but digital marketing is more scientific. And then you have growth hackers that are more on the data science side, conversion rate optimization side. So to me, growth hacking, or what most that are in growth hacking do, they have the ability to be able to understand on a mathematical sense how to scale ad campaigns. I build all of the data architectures that comes with it, because you may have some. For example, there's this one company that I've worked with, or still kind of work with, on a project by project basis, where they have a Facebook marketer, but he's not really a growth hacker per se. Where they've made millions of dollars, but there's no control over the costs. It kind of fluctuates, where a growth hacker is able to control the costs a little bit better. They're able to do things on a more advanced level. So with that, it happens a lot where the profit margins are deeply negative, and there's no way to really scale based on location, price, being able to create market groups and understand on a granular level details about these different market groups and how to scale them. That's really a talent to do that.
Absolutely. And segmentation in your market groups and being able to build segments and analyze what the different, you know, your different communities are doing. It's like Facebook isn't the same as LinkedIn, isn't the same as Instagram, isn't the same as YouTube. So all of these different algorithms and different processes and optimizing some of these campaigns it takes a lot of effort to really look at it and analyze it and understand what the data is telling us, right?
Absolutely. And there's lifetime value. That's something that a lot of marketers or maybe social media marketers don't consider. Being able to build prediction models. Let's just say you have consumers that you have 10 different products and you have different groups of people that buy in patterns, where you can create a prediction model and a pipeline based on people that bought a series of products and then be able to prepare people that are similar to them and have data events that not only revolve around someone making a purchase, but their journey to the purchase, what influenced them to take that specific action and what they bought afterwards.
Yeah, it's amazing to see this take place, and when it really works on a large scale, it's phenomenal. And much like I want to give a shout out here and to the audience too. It's like we got a lot of people here joining us today, Samantha, and Sherry, Lolly, Lori, Brenda, Lewis, Wendy, Retta Laughlin. Good morning from Houston. Trish, Sean, Cy, Gabriel, Sarati, Kathy, Gina. Good morning. Great information. Nick, Dorsey, Angie. These are all people in a community around LinkedIn a lot of times. And, I also, like I mentioned before the show started, I stream out on YouTube, I stream out on Facebook, and I stream out on Periscope. And then before the end of the day, Samantha, this will be transcribed and then uploaded to my website, russjohns.com, as an episode in the transcription, and the podcast will be there as well. And
Wow,
that goes out on Spotify and Apple iTunes and all of the podcasting platforms.
oh wow. Well, I'll be taking notes from you.
Yeah, so building systems and analytics together is an incredibly powerful machine. I'm just saying. I'm just fishing in my own sea here, doing experiments. A lot of what I do, I love experimenting. I love cause and effect and watching, okay, if I can do this and I can actually generate some interest in an area, and then can I grow that and can I get a response? And I love helping people. So, a lot of what I do is, also I love sharing these little tips in the pirate broadcast. And now that you're a pirate, you're in the community here.
I've always wanted to be a pirate.
Yeah, so you can share with this great information. So, as a small entrepreneur, somebody that doesn't have, isn't selling 100 or booking $100,000 a month in ads or something like that, is there something that we can do as a coach, a speaker, an author, somebody that's out there doing a freelancing or a small entrepreneur or small business? What are a couple of things that you could share with us that really bring home some attention or attraction or conversions? Is there anything
Absolutely.
what can you share with us?
Absolutely. Well, I would say for small businesses, some people say, oh, we don't really need data, but you do need data. Because as mentioned, with, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all these different places, there are different codes and events that you don't have to necessarily be a coder that you can track. So I would say first and foremost is to always have a data architecture, even if it's basic, because if not, then you won't know what's working and what's not working. And then if you plan on running ad campaigns, even on a larger scale, some people, they don't do that. You could actually control your costs. So if it's, let's just say one set of copy, brought in leads at only $1, opposed to a different set of copy brings in leads about $9, you can do conversion rate optimization on the ad set that brought in, or the leads that came in for $1. And first and foremost, understand the journey of your consumers. So just look at your website or your funnel and ask yourself, is this something that would I be confused if me as a consumer, would I be confused? How would the consumer interact or engage with this content? And then just being able to learn, test. Marketing is an experiment. So not I'm not going to say try not to be cheap, but it's going to be an investment. Your first initial investment is going to be finding your audience and finding out which content is going to cause conversions. And targeting doesn't sell. Copy and content sells. Your messaging sells. So no matter how well you target, you have to somehow get people to click over to go to your funnel. And then when you get to the funnel, that doesn't just solve the problem. Your funnel and the copy and the messaging on your funnel is responsible for getting people to take another step or an action. So a lot of people, they say, oh, my ad campaigns, they failed, they're not working. But the thing is that if you don't have data, you won't be able to understand. And I'll make this really quick, but there was one particular example where I'll use the same company as an example where they made a lot of money, and it was like a 60%. The test was a 60%. There was another funnel that they had. It was like an 80-90% bounce rate. So only 10 to 20% of the traffic that they were paying for was actually going a little bit further into the funnel. And it wasn't only until we made some changes and adjustments that it changed from to a 60% bounce rate, where we opened it up where 40% of the people were coming through and taking deeper behavior. So, analyzing data is going to help you, especially for smaller businesses, because you may have a smaller budget that you're working with. So it's more strategic for you to be able to understand that information.
And I think the key takeaway for that is we have to start somewhere. We have some copy, we might have a website. At the very least, put Google Analytics and maybe a Facebook pixel on there so you can kind of understand where traffic is coming from. And then start putting some things out there and measuring the results. And the more you put out there and you create some content and see what the response is, and have a journey for the individual visiting your page. Like where are they going to? What is the call to action? And I think it's the big thing that I'm always caught by, or I'm lacking, is clarity in the message. Because I think, okay, I'm going to do this fancy, I'm going to do some fancy words and things like that. I'll do some, I get too complicated, and it's like, just make it super simple, Russ. Just break it down, make it super simple, and make it easy for people to understand. Don't make it fancy, just make it simple. And that seems to work a lot better than, then you're attracting people into the funnel. You're attracting people to what you're doing. And, at that point in time, then they can, the conversion, you can measure conversion around that. And I think it's a whole process. It's an entire process. So data is so important to watch and understand. And a lot, it's not necessarily a skill that everybody has or wants to acquire. And someone like yourself it's a special individual, and I really appreciate what you do, Samantha. So
oh, thank you so much. And definitely with the Pixel 2, you need data events as well. So let's just say you have your lead events. Most don't do it, but I also build other kinds of data events too that you can sync with your Google Analytics. So let's just say even if you're not paying for advertisement, if you have LinkedIn also has a data infrastructure you can put in too. So that's something everyone can put in if you're using LinkedIn. They have an insights tag. It's free to start a LinkedIn ads manager. And pretty much just like Facebook, they have a tag where you can put that on your website or your funnel. So all of this LinkedIn traffic that you're getting, if you plan on running ads on LinkedIn, sponsored emails, or newsfeed ad campaigns, you could also retarget people and create matched audience just like Facebook a lookalike audience. Now there are more advanced data events than just the pixels, such as leads, certain in-page behaviors, tracking people that may have clicked and watched a certain amount of a video on your actual funnel or your page. And that's something that you could do as well if that's what people wanted to do. Because I know with LinkedIn, most people they rely on organic traffic, but you could take this organic traffic and later use it towards paid ads. So let's just say from this LinkedIn, you get 50 people or 100 people that sign up for something. You could actually use what's called a UTM parameter or UTM link. And all the people that complete that particular action, even though it wasn't paid, you could actually use people that fell on that event and do conversion rate optimization and reach that on Facebook.
So like an example is like I was explaining, because I'm putting this broadcast out, the pirate broadcast out to multiple platforms, it would be great for me to actually put a LinkedIn pixel on my website and then actually ask people, hey, you can get notified when I launch a new episode. So if you miss the replay on LinkedIn and can't find it in the feed, you can always go to my website and watch the replay.
Exactly. Exactly. So that way, all this LinkedIn organic traffic that you're getting, it's massive, because some people, when you're paying for advertisement, you're paying to find your audience. But if you already have data events in your website, it's like all the people that is your audience, you're not actually paying for that. You're gaining that traffic and that data organically. So that would save you money, right there.
Yeah, because then you know you know who you're attracting already. So what you need to do is give them exactly what they're looking for, right? I mean,
Exactly.
It's kind of the same thing. It's like, okay, find what people need, create what they need, and offer it to them. And then, I mean, that's the simplest terms. However, there's lots of steps in between. And data is the difference between spending a lot of money on your campaigns and not spending, enough on the right places, right? So
Exactly. So if you get all this organic traffic, you just saved yourself some money. If you have those data events in, if you run ads on LinkedIn, you could just, select, okay, LinkedIn, this insight tag that I put on my lead conversion page, I want to retarget those individuals to sell another product, or I want to create an audience similar to them.
I want a lookalike audience, right?
A lookalike audience, and also Google, it's a matched audience. So if you have both Facebook, Google, and LinkedIn tags, and you collect all of this data at one time, you can actually retarget all of these audience simultaneously on all these different platforms. And even like you mentioned before about keeping it simple, it depends. Like there's some people that may gravitate towards the complexity of your content, and there are those who don't. I did something similar for a really big brand. Actually, it was for, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention it, but we did split testing for different types of copy and content, and they both did really, really well. We also did 2 different prices, and the one where it was more expensive actually sold more.
Isn't that amazing?
Exactly.
I just find that fascinating to me, and it's just like crazy. Hey, I wanted to give a shout out. Nick, thank you so much for being here. Gina, I hope you're finding this valuable. Randy, good morning. McNeely, kindness is cool. You know that. Gabriel, really great stuff, Gabriel says. Wendy, good morning. And also Frank, hope you're doing well today. I see a lot of people that, and I'm guilty of this, Samantha, because I know enough to be dangerous, and I know enough that I want to, talk to you more about some of the things that you're doing and how we could work together, and, how we could, expand your experience in the LinkedIn community here as well, because there's so many people that, and I think there's a understanding about how LinkedIn campaigns work. It's not as prevalent as Facebook ads or Google ads or anything like that. And I think it's really important for people to optimize their campaigns too with what we're talking about. And data is the only way that you can really do that. And having somebody like yourself that can look through the data and say, here's some trends that you need to think about. Here's some groups and individuals that are really, you know, gravitating to your content. Because when you look at it from an organic side and you just look at your feed and you say, okay, so many people like my stuff, and so, you know, so many comments and so many shares, it's not necessarily the whole picture about
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing. There's no personality behind those numbers. So I'm sure that there are other analytics that we can discover along the way. And I think there's just announcement. LinkedIn just changed their user, their terms of agreement and their terms of service. And I haven't dug into that yet, but I'm going to be looking at that. I don't know if Gina, if anybody here has looked at that announcement to see if there's any changes in their analytics or the data or the way the data is handled. Essentially, they're saying, this is your data. If you leave, you can take your data with you, which is pretty common. And
Mm-hmm.
so have you looked at the LinkedIn data to see how deep you can go with that data compared to other platforms?
Absolutely. Well, for LinkedIn, I find at this time, because they've improved it, I've tested their new system in beta, sponsored email campaigns where a lot of people open those. I have some data where I've had conversion rates as far as people opening the message at over 55%.
Mm-hmm.
And as mentioned, after people open the message, you have a little subject line that's what causes people to open. And then the cost per lead is low as $5. Sometimes it could be higher. But as mentioned, your copy and your email is what's going to sell people to take it to the next step. But as far as open rates, they're like as low as 55 cents, 60 cents. If your tagline is really, really good, I find that sponsored emails are really good and are probably effective for small businesses. Now, I wouldn't go rush to go do it just yet because it's still in beta, and you have to make sure that you have enough to invest in, have different sets of copy and make sure your targeting is on point. Now, when you go to the ads manager, is going to tell you what the potential cost would be, where you can bid for the cost. And I just wanted to mention really quickly, when you mentioned about organic traffic, I've done an analysis for social media marketers where one is like they have a bunch of shares, but nobody actually bought anything. Like I had one company over a whole year, not even one person that shared a post ever bought anything on Facebook.
Yeah.
Where someone else, the social media manager, her content was so good that she received more signups and conversions than the people that were handling the Google ads, because her content was just that good.
Wow.
So sharing a post, liking it, doesn't mean people will buy, but with UTM tags, you could actually have a special link for each of your posts that will actually tell you from this specific post, how many people bought something, how many people went to the website, how many conversions did I get from this specific post. And then you can segment by different types of content as well.
Yeah, that's incredibly powerful, and I know that a lot of people have not leveraged the power of UTM codes, and and call to action, and you can have it actually. When I did a lot more email marketing years ago, you know, the subject line was like you look for magic words. It's like get them to open. It's like open rates and get the open rates going. And I've had open rates as high as 60% on some of my copy, and which is incredible. And it's going down because a lot of people are, it's changing and evolving all the time. However, I haven't used UTM codes recently, and it's like, I don't know why, because you could put posts and create posts with UTM codes and start measuring that result. So,
and you can retarget too. So
yeah.
from a specific post, if 1,000 people from this post went over to your funnel, you could actually create a matched audience and lookalike audience based on this specific post.
Fantastic.
And you can combine it too. So if you had a similar content and you want to say, okay, these are my 10 top posts. I want to combine these 10 audiences that engaged with my content at this level, and I want to retarget them, or I want to create an audience similar to them, and I want to run a LinkedIn ad toward this video because based on these similar people that engage, because they proved to be successful.
And and I have to imagine that when this thing works and it's all a system and you know what your long-term value of your client is and your customer, there's a lot of different campaigns you can run and you can retarget and lots of things that you can do to generate additional income off your audience that have already purchased from you. As a business owner, that's incredibly powerful because then you keep the engagement is high, the authority and the attraction is high, and everything
Mhm.
is just amazing. It's amazing when it works all together. So this has been
Absolutely.
incredibly valuable, Samantha. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
So,
so much for having me here.
well, I want to share everybody, all everybody that's here today. Thank you for being here. All the gratitude in the world. Red, Trish, Wendy, Sean, Cy, Gabriel. I mean, all of these individuals are, it's individuals like this that bring value to the community, and we all have a gift, we all have a message. And Samantha, I all the gratitude in the world for sharing a couple of ideas and thoughts with us today, and your value. And thank you so much for being here. So, LinkedIn, if you're not connected with Samantha, connect with Samantha. She's awesome. And I know this is only like a fraction of what she could bring to us if we continue to have this conversation. And also, where could people find you? You have Box of Ambrosia that you have, or is LinkedIn the best place to find you, or where would you
Um,
like to go?
I would say LinkedIn is the best because just like your other guest, I'm just now starting to do social media for myself. She's correct. You could be very talented at digital marketing, but not have a huge following. So she was very correct in saying that.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Samantha. I know that we're going to be talking again because there's
Yes.
some things that I want to work with you on, and I got some projects. It's like I'm okay. I'm thinking about that. Yeah, I think maybe I have to talk to Samantha about that. So
Absolutely. As a friend, I could probably just help you with a couple things. Just reach out to me, and if there's anything I could do for you, just reach out.
I would love to, and I will. And so thanks again. Like I said, this broadcast will be up on russjohns.com/pirate broadcast. Now that you're a pirate, we'll have to start communicating a little closer. And also in the community, if you join us on LinkedIn, like and share the comments. If it's been valuable, I'd appreciate it. Any feedback you can have. If you have questions, also let me know so I can ask questions. I can find guests to give us answers. So it's a simple process. And kindness is cool, smiles are free, and you enjoy the day.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you.